I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. Welcome, everybody, to a very special edition of the Trust in the Lord Hour, a 15-year odyssey and journey we have been on, and what a blessing it has brought to us, and also a combination of the Manning Report. We're going to try to do both of them all together in a one-hour segment, and let me explain to you what we're doing. We're in the midst of a $3.1 million fundraising campaign to stop the vicious, fierce, maniacal, predatory, genocidal foreclosure on our church building property. And because there's so much work to be done, meeting with lawyers, dealing with a lot of paperwork, dealing with the extraordinary number of gifts that Sister Charlene Humphrey has sent, and also preparing ourselves to be able to meet the requirements of us as a congregation. So for the next couple of days, rather than doing from 12 to 2 o'clock live with the Trust in the Lord and the Manning Report, we're going to combine them together, putting more emphasis on Trust in the Lord with some emphasis on the Manning Report, which gives us the opportunity to review some of the news and current events. But we're in the midst of a fundraising campaign and in the midst of also a major campaign fighting the forces, the powers that be. We're fighting the Supreme Court, City Hall, Washington, D.C., politicians, global media, national media is where our battle. So I have been, out on a large number of fronts, and I want to try to preserve my energies as best we possibly can. We will get back to the 2-hour segments, 1 hour dedicated to the Trust in the Lord and the other 1 hour dedicated to the Manning Report within a few days. Be patient with us, and please check out some of the rebroadcast messages that we're going to be doing the intervening hours between 7 o'clock and 11 o'clock. And we want to give a great big shout out to Sister Lynette White down in Leesburg, Alabama, who wants to be able to go through the teachings of I Am. So we're going to have our program director round up all those teachings of I Am and put them in a package and send that package to Sister White, who's down in Leesburg, Alabama, northeast corner of Alabama. And we are going to also send you a copy of the New York Times, where the article appeared last week regarding the vicious, if you will, predatory, unthinkable foreclosure against our church. You'll have that article within a couple of days. And want to let Brother Honecker know that he should have his cap and within a couple of days as well. So now we're able to announce on yesterday that we reached our goal of $500,000 for the month of May, which we stated we needed in order to be able to keep pace with the interest that is accruing on the $3.1 million at $29,000 per month, and being able to move towards liquidating that entire $3.1 million in payoff and trying to reach some sort of an agreement with the courts and with the Mellon Bank to allow us to pay off. So we were very successful in doing so, and we give God the praise and all of you as well. Now, we were able to do so through a large number of processes. One is that we were teaching the Jericho first fruit offering, but largely these gifts came from the faithful members who made pledges and others who gave cash upon cash and others who gave gold and coins and other kinds of gifts that have put us at the victory mark of the $500,000 and a little bit beyond that for the first month of May. Now, we're going to need to be able to try to raise the same amount for the next few months every month. So that's why it's important that we, in this Trust in the Lord Hour, that we focus on this. We can't lose our church building. If you think that not having us doing 2 hours a day, as we have done previously, think of what it would happen were we to lose this church building. We would effectively lose the ministry. in addition to losing over $7 million in equity that we have in this building, would just be wiped, just be snatched from us. So we are focusing now the next few days on getting people into the process of supporting us to stop the foreclosure sale of our church property. We want everyone far and wide to understand the process. Now, what I'd like to be able to do is, in this segment today, the time that we have, let me say this to you. Givers give because they receive. Now, that's a lesson. You can learn a lot of things in life. You can forget a lot of things in life. But I have to tell you that givers give because they receive. And it is just a phenomenon. Not everyone understands that process of giving. It's just the way the world works, or the cookie crumbles. But blessed are ye when you understand that process. Givers give because they receive. And those who've given to us to reach our goal. Now, we got a long way to go to stop this foreclosure sale. But those who gave because they received. They understand the process of giving. And so I wanted to be able to express that to you. Now, also, I need to tell you that we're excited, and I'm going to go ahead and anticipate we're going to have some more good news and a fairly big announcement. It will not be the end of the foreclosure, the sale, the court battles. It will not be the end of that. But I'm going to go ahead now and step out on a limb and say we're going to have some good news within a couple of weeks. So just hold tight to that. In addition to the fundraising that we're having, the good news we have will not be about fundraising. It'll be about some other processes that will greatly help and advance us. And I just want to ask you to pray with us. In fact, let's go to the Lord. Can I ask you now to bow or to stop or to pause for just a moment while I just give Jesus the praise? Heavenly Father, we thank you. We thank you for the commitment of the members who have made their gifts, their cash gifts, their checks, their coins, their pledges, their commitments. And we thank you for people from all over America and even Europe that have made their gifts known. And we want to say a special prayer for Sister Lynette White down in Leesburg, Alabama, who loves the ministry, but her husband is, a traditional church man, and her mother-in-law, who she greatly respects, thinks the world. She thinks the world of her mother-in-law, but her mother-in-law is also a traditional church person. And, the teachings we did about the Sabbath and about first fruit offerings and tithing is not something that they are necessarily a part of their church social experience. So we want to lift her up today because she's praying to bring the whole family, to get the whole family under the blood of Jesus, under the power of the word of God. So a shout out to her today down there in Leesburg, Alabama. And a special prayer for her husband, who's been hospitalized and he's had a couple of bypasses. Well, I'm going to ask Jesus to heal him from head to toe, that he might be up and about as he was in times gone by. But Jesus, I want to thank you that we've had some things that borders on good, from fair to good, about this foreclosure. Let the blessing continue. And Jesus, let everybody understand my heart. Let everybody understand why I'm speaking as I'm speaking, why I'm doing as I am doing. Let everybody understand how important this church building is to the entire world. The world gets fed from this bread basket here on 123rd Street. And I must do everything within your direction, Jesus, to save this property, to save the school for the children, that they would not have to go out into the streets. and into the public school system, to save the breakfast program, the soup kitchen, the homeless shelter, and the just basic gathering of the teaching of the Word of God. Touch the hearts of people, Lord, because there's so many people that are listening to me. There's so many listening to me. I'm asking you to touch their hearts and join in the battle. Join in the fundraising. Join in the praying. Join ultimately in the victory that we're going to share when this battle has been won. I thank you, Lord Jesus. And in your name I pray and give thanks. Hallelujah and amen. Now, we are, as said before, we pray we'll be able to make a major announcement and in not too many days. We'll pray about that. I'm going to go out there on a limb and believe that that's going to happen since we kind of got this going. Now, listen, I want to tell you that four of our men, ministers, and one of the elders is down in Fairmount, North Carolina right now as we speak. And I don't know if they've got the video on down there right now that with Sister Charlene Humphrey. I don't know if they've got it on to let her take a look at it. But the four men are there right now, and I know they're busy loading the truck. They've got a U-Haul truck, and they've got our van down there. So I want to be able to give a shout out to them today as they are going to be bringing back loads of treasures that Sister Charlene Humphrey has given unto us. And, when all is said and done about the things that Sister Charlene Humphrey has given, we're going to have a big financial total. And I was communicating with Sister Humphrey last night about a pastor she had been in contact with, that she had given enough for him to try to create jobs for the community. I get the sense from Sister Humphrey that he didn't have that spirit of helping the people, of creating the jobs, and that his son was somewhat of the Absalom type in the Bible. And so we'll talk more about that also. I don't know if the media was able to get the gold plate to us, but I want to show you something here, and we're going to keep on praying. Now, remember, Joshua fought the battle of Jericho. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho. And I have said in the recent teachings that Jericho was the Beverly Hills of the ancient Near East. That it was a rich city. It was like the city of Beverly Hills. But I want to show you this plate. This is a Japanese hand-painted plate. And it's 24 karat gold trimmed and gold embossed. And if you can see the Japanese figures dressed in their black Japanese robes and their traditional Japanese clothing, as you can see, this was painted by hand. This is a, if you will, Da Vinci or Michelangelo painting. This is a precious plate, and it's heavy as all outdoors. It's really quite beautiful. Well, you know who gave this to us? The world's greatest and largest antique dealer on planet Earth, Sister Charlene Humphrey. I wanted y'all to see that. And we're going to be putting a number on it for someone to give to us, and we will give them this plate. But this is the kind of plates that you would have found in Jericho. Now, I want Mr. Engineer, if you would bring me to Joshua chapter 6 for just a moment. And I want to read the verses because I want the people to see how God instructed Joshua about the first fruits. And I'm telling you, I believe God. I trust the Lord. This church has been a tithing church. 40 years. We do the first fruit every beginning of the year, or whenever people get a new job or a new increase, all of that happens. And then yesterday we were able to have a joyous time of giving out things. I even gave away my old car. And I want to say to everybody, I want to say this. Now, if I didn't call your name yesterday for giving you something yesterday, we'll get to you, right? We'll get to you. So Pastor Manley, he gave everybody got something except me. No, that's not the case. You know, it wasn't that everybody. But I there were some special things that we needed to do, and so we needed to do that. Now, let's look at Joshua chapter 6, because we want to teach you about the first fruit offering. And though all the gifts that came in to us to reach our $500,000 goal were not first fruit gifts, they were given by people who've already given first fruits, who understand the process. They've long since been givers and tithers. Now, we have a few new people. Now, we do have several new people who've given a few $1,000s to the ministry for the foreclosure, who I did not know of before. They just people many of them have been brought about by the New York Times. And I'll be talking about for a few moments how we're going to run another New York Times ad. I've been on line with the salesperson from New York Times most of the morning. We have sent at least 5 or 6 emails back and forth trying to line up our New York Times article for next week. But it's been a real blessing because of the power of the first fruits. And I'm just going to stay with the Word of God. And I'm just going to take the time now to read to you several verses from Joshua to help just buttress the first fruit. I want to get this in, and I'm going to talk about a few other things that we want to talk about as well. Now, listen. Now, Jericho was straightly shut up because of the children of Israel. None went out, and none came in. And the Lord said unto Joshua, see, I have given into thine hand Jericho. Now, every time I say Jericho, I want you to use your Holy Ghost imagination to think Beverly Hills. Now, I'm not going to add anything to the scripture. I don't want to do that. But I want you to think when they said, the Lord said to James Manning, see, now I've given you the land of Beverly Hills. You get the idea? All throughout the next 18 verses, I want you to understand, rather than Joshua, James Manning, and rather than Jericho, Beverly Hills. Actually, Harlem, but Beverly Hills is going to work for us right now. And verse 3, and ye shall compass the city, all ye men of war, and go around the city once. Thou shalt do 6 days. And 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns. Now, I'd have to get all 7 of our elders in white uniforms and give them all a ram's horn, all 7 of the elders, and let them go before me. And the 7th day you shall compass the city 7 times. And the priests, being all the 7 elders in our church, shall blow with the trumpets. And it shall come to pass that when they shall make a long blast with the ram's horn, and when you hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city shall fall down flat, and the people shall ascend up, every man straight before him. And Joshua, the son of Nun, called the priests and said unto them, take up the ark of the covenant, and let 7 priests bear 7 trumpets of ram's horn before the ark of the Lord. And he said unto the people, pass on, and compass the city, and let him that is armed pass on before the ark of the Lord. And it came to pass when Joshua had spoken unto the people that the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horn passed on before the Lord and blew with their trumpets, and the ark of the covenant of the Lord followed them. And the armed men went before the priests that blew with the trumpets, and the reward came after the ark, and the priests going on and blowing with the trumpets. And Joshua had commanded the people, saying, ye shall not shout nor make any noise with your voice till you shall hear, neither shall any word proceed out of your mouth until the day I bid you shout, then shall ye shout. Now, so the ark of God compassed the city, going about it once, and they came into the camp and lodged in the camp. And Joshua rose up early in the morning, and the priests took up the ark of the Lord. And the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horn before the ark of the Lord went on continually and blew with the trumpets, and the armed men went before them, but the reward came after the ark of the Lord, the priests going on and blowing with the trumpets. And the second day they compassed the city once and returned into the camp. So they did 6 days. And it came to pass on the seventh day that they rose early about the dawning of the day and compassed the city, and after the same manner 7 times. Only on that day they compassed the city 7 times. And it came to pass at the 7th time, when the priests blew with the trumpets, Joshua said unto the people, shout, for the Lord hath given you Beverly Hills. Lord hath given you ATLAH. That's what God said. Shout, shout. Shout, 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 Joshua said. And the city shall be accursed, even all that are therein. The Lord, only Rahab and her harlot shall live, and all that are with her in her house, because she hid the messengers that were sent. And ye in any wise keep yourselves from the accursed thing, lest you make yourselves accursed when you take of the accursed thing, and make the camp of Israel a curse and trouble it. But all the silver, all the gold that I was showing you on yesterday, the silver I was showing you on yesterday, all the gold and the silver and the vessels, such as this plate and the French vase and others I was showing you, those vessels of brass and iron are consecrated unto the Lord. They shall come into the treasury of the Lord. They're supposed to go into the offering basket. Now, I wanted to be able to share that with you. I wanted to be able to share because I wanted you to understand the power of the first fruit. Now, God told Joshua, you're going to win the battle of Jericho, but all the gold and the silver from that city, and there was a lot of it. That was the richest city in the Middle East. It was the richest city, maybe richer than even Egypt at the time. But God says you can have everything after Jericho. But Jericho, all the gold and all the silver, bring it to the house of the Lord and put it in the treasury of the Lord. And that's the Bible. It's called the first fruit. Now, the city that came thereafter, they could have all of that for themselves, except for the tithe they had to give to continue the work of the house of the Lord, which is 10% of every increase that they get, or 10% of every dollar that they get. But I gave the example yesterday of some houses in Beverly Hills. I don't know if we have any more of those Beverly Hills houses, or there's another community around Beverly Hills. We talked about Brentwood as well, where O.J. Simpson lived. And now we understand that these are two very ritzy cities out in the Los Angeles area. Now, this is Beverly Hills. That's a house. Now, the Lord said, when you go in this house, Pastor Manning, and you and your men, you go in this house, you and the people of God, all the gold and silver and all the rugs and paintings and furs and all the Ferraris parked in the garage, they belong to me. Don't take them. You can't have them. This is a Beverly Hills house. Now, when you go in there, you're going to find gold, diamonds, paintings, rugs. In the garage, you're going to find Rolls Royce. You're going to find Ferraris. You're going to find all those cars inside and a whole lot of other stuff. When you go in that house, all that belongs to me, God said. All that belongs to me. Joshua, it's called the first fruit, Joshua. Don't take any of it for yourself. If you do, you'll curse yourself. Don't take anything that belongs to the Lord. Don't steal from God. Don't take anything that belongs from you. The Bible says, "Cursed you are cursed with a curse." And God said to Joshua, because all this gold and silver from Beverly of Jericho belongs to me, if you take it, it's a curse. You'll be cursed, so don't take it. That's what he told him. Now, in the same region of Beverly Hills out there in California, there's a city called Brentwood. And Brentwood is ritzy too, from what I understand. God said, now, the houses that in Beverly Hills, nothing can you take. But when you go into the house of Brentwood, like this one right here, everything in there belongs to you. Woo! Woo! everything in there. But you got to give the first fruit. This is just Bible. It's just Bible. First, you got to give the first fruit. And generally, that means that you give your first paycheck to the Lord at the beginning of the year, or when you first get your job, or if you get a new job. The first fruit belongs to God. Jericho, God said, Jericho belongs to me. But now when you go to Brentwood, everything in Brentwood belongs to you. The first of everything belongs to God. That's a beautiful house right there today. Lord, there must be a lot of gold, a lot of silver, a lot of paintings, a lot of rugs, a lot of bad automobiles parked in the garage. We have anything else from Brentwood, Mr. Engineer? See, we got a Brentwood house. There's another Brentwood house. You can get an overview of how big, how sprawling that thing is. God said to Joshua, everything in here in the Brentwood houses belong to you. But everything in the Jericho houses called the first fruit belongs to me. And that's Bible. I've been teaching it for 40 years. I'll never do anything else. And it has made ATLAH people some of the most prosperous people you're going to find anywhere at any time. We're just a blessed people. What's that? Is that Brentwood too? That's another Brentwood. All right, now look at Brentwood houses. Brentwood house looks better than maybe the Beverly Hills houses. I don't know what y'all think. But God says to Joshua, tell the people, when you go into the Brentwood house, when you go into the Brentwood, every piece of gold, every diamond, every car, every painting, every last one of them belongs to you if you give me the first fruit. Now, if you don't give me the first fruit, then you're cursed. And it ain't going to do you no good. You're not going to win And you know what? Actually, what happened, I'll tell you this, what happened. There was a man in the group with Joshua, those 1.6 million, one man named Achan. And Achan saw in Jericho a beautiful bar of gold, probably like the size of this Bible, a bar of gold that size. And a beautiful Babylonian garment, the Bible says. And he took it and hid it in his tent. It was a cursed thing. Now, God had told him, God Almighty told him that if you take something from the first fruit, if the first fruit belongs to God, and if you don't give it to God, you're cursed. Well, the same thing is with the tithe as well, but we'll get to that in just a moment. God says the first fruit, Jericho, belongs to me. And if you take from the first fruit and don't give it to God, you are cursed. You heard me read it a few moments ago. You are accursed. And the Bible says that this boy named Achan took that gold and that Babylonian garment, hid it, and put it in his tent. And it was the accursed thing. And guess what happened? Well, I'll tell you. The next day they got up to fight a little city called Ai. And the Bible says that because Achan had taken what belonged, Achan had robbed from God. Achan had stole the first fruit. You got to give your first fruit. That's why there's so many people in America suffering today. That's why the government runs you. Listen to me, everybody. That's why the government, the politicians, you see what's going on down there in Uvalde with those children being killed? Politicians arguing about what to do about guns, what not to do about guns. The government makes all kinds of decisions. The government makes decisions about same-sex marriages. And you're just left out there swinging in the wind. And the reason why people are so poor and living from hand to mouth, ExxonMobil, Shell, gasoline, and Chevron, and Valor, or whatever that other major oil, they are making windfall profits while gasoline has hit a national average of $4.70 a gallon. And it's higher than that, and something depends on what state you're in. ExxonMobil made $15 billion more last year, even during the pandemic, than they'd made in years gone by. See, The reason why they got that kind of power, they're evil as all outdoors, and they're trying to do the same thing with taking our church and getting a $3.1 million windfall interest, and then the buyer of the church gets a $7 million increase in equity. They rob from the poor. They rob from the poor. And you may not believe this. You may not believe it. You may be out there and there's sometimes, the Spirit comes upon you and you just reject truth. Even though you listen to truth, you won't apply it. I understand. I see it happen all the time. But, the reason why the government is able to control and why people are poor and living from hand to mouth, and in a time of inflation, the major corporations are raising the prices. The Tyson Food and JB beef products, they're raising their prices. You go in the supermarket now, you think you're going into a jewelry store rather than the meat market. You think you're going into, some sort of high-class Gucci store rather than the fish market or the supermarket. Things are so expensive. The reason why they do that is because you don't have the protection of God. And we're going to show you. We're going to raise this $3 million to $1 million. We're going to show you. This is an attack upon us because the devil wants me to, if he can stop me from reaching and teaching you, you will be surprised. Let me tell you something, my brother and my sister. You would be surprised at the thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people that are blessed every day by this ministry. That's right. That's right. But the power to stop the government, the politicians, stop the slaughtering of our children, stop the teaching of this vile, if you will, sexual gender to our teaching, is that we are to bring the first fruit offering. Give me the city of Jericho, God says. Give me the city of Beverly Hills, and I will give you the city of Brentwood. But it's a strange thing with people. It's a strange thing. They can't believe that if I give God Beverly Hills and all that gold and I give that to God, I don't have to give it to God. I'll just take it. And I'll take Beverly Hills, I'll take Brentwood too. And that, unfortunately, is the mindset of just too many pitiful, pitiful people who dishonor God and take the accursed thing. Because, if you don't give the first fruit offering, and you don't tithe, you are cursed. The Bible says you are cursed with a curse. And God told Joshua, it is a cursed thing. Don't take it. It's a curse. And Joshua took it, and the whole camp was cursed. 3,000 men lost their lives that day when they went to fight the Battle of Ai. 3,000 wives lost their husband, and several thousand children lost their father because one man took the accursed thing. If you've been around the church, you probably heard that story many, many times before. Did you ever wonder why? People just don't do it? They just won't do. They won't do the first fruit. They won't do the tithe. You ever wonder why people do that? I mean, I guess they say, well, the rich people don't do it, so I don't have to do it. But the rich people steal. They rob God and they serve Satan. Anyway, so I wanted to be able to say that. Now, we're giving God the praise, and we're praying that the men that will be driving back from North Carolina today and tonight will drive safely. All right, Elder Smith and Captain LaFleur and Minister Matos and Brother Jeremiah, y'all drive safe. You're going to be carrying a precious cargo. Do not speed. Brothers, do not speed. And if you need to pull over, take a rest. And one sleep and the other drive. Amen. Y'all going to be bringing some precious cargo back. And by the way, ask Sister Charlene Humphrey, the letters and memorabilia of notes and things that Joseph Mitchell signed and autographed and all of that. Ask her to put that in a special box where we can find it right away. Because we got so many, have to go through all the boxes to find it. Ask her to put it in a very special place so y'all can hand that right to me today, the moment you get here. And some of the other beautiful, precious gold-plated gifts that she's sending as well to put them in a special place so we don't have to go through the whole process looking. But look at this. Look at this. Look at this. I just say, as I'm sitting before the Lord, I'm sitting before you, I'm telling you, I just say absolute truth. Now, I have reservation about picking up this plate because if I drop it and break it, oh Lord, if I drop, this is hand painted. This is a Michelangelo or Leonardo da Vinci. This is absolutely exquisitely beautiful. She just gave it to us. Didn't even make any hay about it. Sister Humphrey, she just gave it to us. Didn't make any. Look at Japanese. This is so beautiful. This is so very beautiful. And I think it's a Japanese. They look like two Japanese men and three. Well, I don't know if you want to call them what kind of girls you want to call them, but they're under a beautiful umbrella. So if you can freeze frame this and look at it, the three women are under a beautiful umbrella, and the two men are standing there looking at them, and all this is gold laced and gold trimmed. I mean, it just don't get no beautiful than that. What would you give us for this? As you say, Pastor Manning, I want to put something in the treasury. By the way, let me get to this as well. I need to get to this. Our time is just about gone for today. So you're understanding we're doing a special broadcast over the next couple of days because I've got so much work to do with lawyers. You know, when you file bankruptcy, that you have to file a lot of papers. You got to deal with trustees. Oh, it's a mess. Plus, we're in the process of fundraising, and we're in the process of organizing the church and the ministry, and we're going to get back out there on the streets and demonstrate our wares to the people. Even if we don't get a chance to sell anything, because a lot of people don't want to buy from us, and then others might find us a bit high end. The contributions mean a lot. It means that the people in the community, there are plenty of people in the community who still love us and still are praying for us, and they've told us to our face that they need us here in the community. But I'm going to be running another ad in the New York Times, and I'm looking at doing a couple of things. I'm looking at running a digital ad in the New York Times and a print ad. Now, they tell me that the digital ad, you have to run at least 10, run it for 10 days at $10,000 a whop, but it's on digit, but it gives you a larger audience than the print audience. Now, I'm going to use the print the way we did last time because the print, a lot of older senior people like myself, they like the hardcore, like rub the pages and look through it and, fill the ink and everything. But the modern, the younger people like the digital ads. So we're going to do both. So we're going to be spending a chunk of money on that as well. That will happen. We pray, according to my working with the salesperson this morning, that we'll be able to get that ad, both digital and print ad, in the papers by next week. And what we're going to do with the digital and print ad is that we're going to ask people to loan us the $3 million or give us the $3 million. And we'll give it back to them when we get on our feet again. And I'll tell you, this is the absolute truth. I got this idea from the judge. Now, I don't want to get out too far on a limb and say, talking about judges because we've been so disappointed over the last 12 years with judges we have and with lawyers too. But Elder LaFleur was there. He's a witness. The judge actually said to the Mellon Bank, she said, there might be somebody out there that will give them the $3 million and let them stay in the building. She actually said that from the bench. Elder LaFleur would tell you. One minute I bring him up here, he'll tell you that. The judge said that. And then the judge said, she said, don't be so quick to count these people out. She says, I've seen situations like this, and I've seen people find the money, work it out. And she was just, I said, am I living in the same world that I was living in an hour ago? But Elder LaFleur will tell you that's exactly what she said. So I got the idea then, well, in our next New York Times ad, here's what we're going to do. We're going to just flat out ask somebody to give us $3 million. And we're going to break it down, say, okay, the person don't have $3 million. Well, will you give us $1 million? Well, 3 people give us $1 million, right? And if 3 people don't have $1 million, can 30 people give us $100,000? You get the idea? And that's going to be featured in the next ad. In addition to, we're going to outline our success here, My goddaughter, Deborah Love, is in Rome, Italy now, studying at the Leonardo da Vinci School of Language. She's becoming fluent in Italian. As you know, she's a highly acclaimed opera singer, an opera performer. And we got everybody in our church, from rap artists like the group called Give It Up to opera performers, so people, we got duet singers playing guitar, 12 and Michael Guzman, and then we got old Ballard singing Sabbath. It's just, I can't figure. I'll tell you the truth. I told Jesus and I told the congregation, I'm so thankful to God to be able to serve this congregation. And you know what's going to happen? We're going to win this battle. Well, ain't nobody going to be able to keep my mouth shut. I got a big mouth anyway. I let it go. I put everything on blast. I do. I put when we win this battle, people are going to want to leave the planet because they don't want to hear my mouth, because I'm going to be putting it on blast, what we've done. But I need to tell you that we need your help. We need your support. And we got to bring Sister Charlene Humphrey up here at some point. And there's several other people who read the New York Times article last week who said they want to come to the church as well. They've already made contributions. They say they want to come to the church as well. So we also now, according to Elder Salem, we have completed our GoFundMe page. And I think we have a replica of it here. That's our GoFundMe page. Can you see that? Yeah. That's our GoFundMe page. Scroll it, Mr. Engineer, so they'll be able to see a little bit of what. Can you scroll it, or is that just all that you have? That's our GoFundMe page, giving people an opportunity to, I think you have to click the read more button in order to be able to get more. But that's okay. We don't need to show more than that. That's it. That's going up on our Facebook page and wherever else GoFundMe pages, GoFundMe activity goes. And Elder Salem working with Sister Elizabeth Lewis, who has a master's degree from New York University. You believe that? Sister Elizabeth Lewis has a master's degree from New York University. Her brother has a bachelor's degree from Berkeley, and he graduated cum laude. Her other sister is a lawyer, for crying out loud. Well, God, Lord have mercy. What on earth is going on in the ATLAH Church? All these people doing all these extraordinary things. But anyway, he's working with Elder Salem is working with Elizabeth master's degree from New York University on compiling our GoFundMe page and also our marketplace. Now, what we're going to do is that we're going to put up a online market page where all the things that the thousands upon thousands upon thousands of things that Sister Charlene has given to us, we can put them in categories. And, we can put the chairs and rugs and furnishings and paintings and china wearing gold and watches and costume jewelry, all in various categories, vases and lamps and all of that, because we'll be actually running a store. And I believe over the period of time, we'll be able to sell $3 million worth of products that Sister Humphrey has given us. So if anybody want to say, well, Pastor Manning, I know the first fruit and everything, but I'm going to do something here. I'm going to give you $10,000, but I want you to give it back to me once you win this foreclosure battle. I'm going to give it to you. Or I'm going to give you $10,000. Or I'm going to give you $25,000, Pastor Manning. I'm not giving it to you to keep, but I know you're in this battle, and I know what you stand for, and I know you've been fighting. I'm going to give you $25,000, but I want you to give it back to me. I want you to give it back to me when you win the battle and you get on your feet and you start selling all that stuff that Sister Charlene Humphrey has given. And then the other thing is that, listening to you, I get the sense that a whole lot of people are going to give. So you might be able to give it back to me earlier than I think, but I want my $25,000 back. I said, well, okay. I'll say, okay. And by the way, you can say that about $500. I'm just using those numbers because, the people who listen to me probably can do that. But you can give $500. Say, I want my $500 back. once you win this battle, but I ain't gonna stand on the sidelines and watch these people, first of all, make $3 million in interest, which is ridiculous, it's unheard of. That will probably be a record. In fact, I want to make a note of that. Make a note of that, Matron Farm, make a note of that we're going to, when we do our New York Times article, that for the Mellon Bank to make $3.1 million, not $3.2 million on one sale of church of property and interest, not in equity, in interest. Matron Farm, make a note of this so we can put it in the New York Times. And then the buyer will make $7 million in equity the moment he puts down the $3 million. I don't think that historically that has ever been done in the history of the world. Now, people have made a lot of money on sales, but it's because somebody wanted to pay a certain amount of money. I mean, listen, people pay $2 million a year to have lunch with Warren Buffett. Imagine that. People plop down $2 million to have a 1 hour lunch with Warren Buffett. So people do a lot of things. But in terms of predatory lending, Matron Farm, make sure we get that in the article, that Mellon Bank will make $3.2 million, and the buyer, if should it happen, will make $7 million in profit. So you say, Pastor, man, I'm not going to stand by and let them do that. The people ain't got, I tell you what, you go out there now to the gas tank, right, and they're charging you $6 a gallon for gasoline. They're robbing you. They don't have to get that. They don't have to charge you that much money. Did you know that? Did you know that? They don't have to. They could lower the price to $1 a gallon for the next year and still make a profit. ExxonMobil, Shell, Chevron. No, they could. BP Oil. No, they could. In fact, over yonder across the pond in England, BP Oil, they have made them pay a windfall profit tax to make them stop charging so much. See what they're doing to you? They're doing it to you gallon by gallon. But they're going to do it to our church $1 million by $1 million. You need to join me. I can help fight the high gas prices. But that ain't all. That ain't all. You need to join me. When you go into the supermarket and you find that the meat prices has gone up, the bread prices has gone up, the fruits and vegetable prices have gone up far beyond. I mean, what you used to pay, a grocery maybe $60, $70, you're now paying $125, twice as much as a month ago. They don't have to do that to you. These Tyson and JB Meats and all these other, they don't have any competition. They out there pretty much on their own. They can charge what they want. They're robbing you. Well, they're doing that to you every time you go to the supermarket. They hit you for an extra $100. But they want to hit the ATLAH Church. They want to hit us for $3.2 million in one fell swoop. You got to join with me. You got to say enough is enough is enough. You got to join with me. Because you're not excluded from them. You say, well, I don't guess necessarily go along with all what you preach and teach. I tell you what you do go along. They don't care nothing about your religious beliefs. When you go in there to try to buy that steak or that hamburger, you try to buy that hamburger, try to buy that hot dog, try to get on an airplane, it costs you at least $400 to fly anywhere. And you can fly from Shannon, North Carolina to Fairmount, North Carolina, and they still want $400 for a 10-minute trip. Hotels, rates, these corporations don't have to do that. These business and banks, they're robbing people, but they're robbing us at a point of $3.2 million in profit, and then they're going to rob us of $7 million in equity. They're robbing us big time, but they rob you every time you step out your door. You got to join with me. You got to hear me. You got to come out from underneath there. You got to hear me. You got to hear me. They're robbing you too. They're robbing you every day. But I can lift up my voice and we can shout victory. They're robbing you too. They're robbing you. You go to the supermarket now, and by the way, they don't care nothing. We say we got a school here, school children. We feed the hungry. Breakfast program, free breakfast. Anybody come. Women and children come all morning long. You would think somebody would say, well, don't shut down the food program for the children. Don't shut down the school for the children. You think somebody in the courts, somebody in politics that read about this in the newspaper would say, hey, Governor Hochul, hey, Eric Adams, hey, courts, what's going on? You're robbing, you're closing down, you're hurting the children. But they don't. And I got news for you. You have to feed your children. You think somebody would say, hey, Tyson Food, hey, JB Meats, hey, Shell Oil. I have to drive to work. I drive 30, 40 miles every day. I got to cut back on buying food just to buy gas. They're robbing from your children. They don't give a damn about your children eating. They don't give a damn about your children starving. They don't care nothing about the children here in Harlem at the ATLAH Church. They don't care nothing about the school, and they don't care nothing about your children. Don't you think that somehow or another I'm the only one they're doing this to? They don't care nothing about you either. You think they care that you can't buy hamburger now? You think they care? You think they're going to lower their prices? And the Fed just raised the interest rates. You think they care? And by the way, fool around and lose your job, lose your money, they'll take your house too. After you've been in there for years, they'll take it. So you got to help me. And I'm giving you biblical. I'm not telling you to help me based on some philosophy, some political ideology. I'm based on the word of God, based on what God said about the first fruit. That's all you got to do. Just follow the word of God and follow the teachings that I'm teaching. Because they're robbing you too. It ain't just me they're robbing. Open your eyes. Can't you see what they're doing? They're doing it to you every time you pull up to the gas tank. They're doing it to you every time you go shopping. They're doing it to you everywhere you look. They're doing it to your children. They don't care nothing that you can't feed your children. They don't care that you got to cut back on your portion. They don't care about your children. And they don't care about the children here in Harlem, whether they're white children or black children or red or green or blue. These businesses and politicians, they don't care. They don't care. And they're making money hand over fist. So you got to wake up. You got to open your, you got to say, wait a minute now. Wait a minute. They're doing the same thing to me that they're doing to Pastor Manning and the children up there in Harlem. When you going to wake up? When you going to wake up? We might need to run several ads in the time. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for the truth. Thank you, Jesus, for the truth. We'll give your name the glory and the honor. $500,000 in a month. Thank you. Thank you for everybody who gave, everybody who pledged, everybody who committed. People, I mean, we had one elder in the church who gave nearly $15,000 by himself. And not that the big amounts is what I like to focus on, and God forbid that anybody should judge me along those lines. But Jesus, thank you. Thank you. And let the people know that the children and the school and the man of God they save may be their own, because these people in business, they just don't care about anybody but themselves. They're planning on buying bigger yachts and bigger houses in Beverly Hills with the money that they're making now on the backs of poor people who got to buy gas to go to work, got to buy hamburger to feed their children, got to buy chicken to try to put some food on the table for the children, got to buy clothes. Jesus, touch the people. Let them take out their checkbooks right now, or let them and start writing checks. They can, the address to mail the checks to is right on, always on the screen on our videos, or they can go to CashApp and just give it right there on Cash. And by the way, if you give it CashApp, I don't pay a percentage. I wait several days, and if you wait several days, they'll give you whatever you give. If you give $100, I'll get the entire $100, but I have to wait several days to get it. So, Lord, touch the people. Let them mail their checks to the Bethel Community Baptist Church, Post Office Box 2423, ATLAH, New York, or the ATLAH Church, Post Office Box 2423, ATLAH, New York, 10027. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you for the hearts you've touched. Thank you. Don't let these people go back. Let them see that next week, 4th of July, the prices are going to be so high, they're not even going to be able to have barbecues. And old people living on fixed budgets, only getting a little bit of a Social Security check. That Social Security check is being eaten up in a heartbeat by high food prices, high medical prices. What they're doing to me here, and on $1 million scale, they do every day to poor people all over America. Rich, black or white, they do it all day long. Let's stop it. Let's stop it right here at ATLAH. And in your name, Jesus, we pray. Amen and amen. Now, remember, this is a special broadcast, and we'll get back to our regular broadcasting of Trust in the Lord and the Manning Report in separate entities as soon as we get released from all the other obligations that we have to do now to keep up with this foreclosure activity going on here at the ATLAH World Mission Church. But until that time, everybody, peace out. I shall not be moved. I shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the wall.